Chidanandji, you can start right now by unmuting.
Namaste, good evening, everyone. Are there stepping stones on way to discovering order in daily life? Call it order in daily life or freedom or discovery of truth. This question of possible stepping stones is a very intriguing one. Everywhere else in the phenomenal world, you have stepping stones. From point A, you want to go to point B, and if point B is not easily accessible, then from A you go to P, from P you go to Q, and from Q you go to R, and this PQR take you closer and closer to point B, which is your destination. So there is a starting point and there is a destination. In journeys within our country, from Indore to Kolkata, you may pick up some halting points, or if you are flying, some points where you change your plane, where you take a break. So by stepping stone, we mean do something whereby you get nearer to where you need to reach. Even in study of various subjects, there are stepping stones. To understand multiplication, you need to understand addition. 5 plus 5 is 10. 5 plus 5 plus 5 is 15. 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5 is 20. When you have a good grasp of addition, adding the same number several times makes clear sense to you, then you may learn multiplication. 4 times 5 is 20. Likewise, subtraction can be a stepping stone before you learn division and other processes. Friends, show me one subject in the domain of what we learn in schools, colleges, and universities where there is no stepping stone. Graded lessons, music or art, everywhere we talk about starting grade, then advanced lessons, etc. All right, can we transport that scenario, that kind of setting to this coming upon inner freedom? When we go from disorder to order, when we go from a fragmented personality to an integrated whole being, are there stepping stones? Are there stepping stones, or are there steps? Are there steps towards freedom? Someone asked the question, in a more picturesque manner. Are they stepping stones or booby traps? Booby traps, I guess, an expression from warfare. What do booby traps mean? Somebody, a soldier, is slowly moving towards the enemy territory, and somewhere he puts his foot upon a booby trap and he gets badly injured. He may get caught, he may get hit, something may explode and he gets hurt. So are stepping stones or those things which are meant to be stepping stones booby traps? Now we find that the world is full of theories and systems of philosophy which prescribe steps to what they call realization, steps to enlightenment, steps to unconditional love, blah, blah. So many charming words are used. In the teachings of Krishnaji, all such steps are dismissed. Someone asked him once, what is the way to attention? For in the teachings, so much is said about attention, awareness, being attentive. Attention is mentioned as the panacea to countless forms of disorder, psychological disorder. If you and I suffer from greed, from some bitter memories, if you and I are hit by the bug called ambition, I want to become famous, I want to become wealthy, I want to become powerful. You look at the news how Yogi Adityanath is coming second time as Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh. I'm not here to talk about politics, but I want to ask you, does one of you, upon reading that, desire to be like Yogi Adityanath? I want to get to a position of power one day. I will rule. That is a psychological disorder. And the remedy, the medicine that is prescribed in the teachings for all these maladies is attention. Therefore, someone asked Krishnaji, what is the way to attention? Maybe the questioner had in her mind some technique, some exercise, something to be done, maybe some breathing exercise, whereby you were very inattentive before, but after this breathing exercise, you become attentive. You become more aware. You are less disturbed by thoughts. So maybe the questioner hoped that Krishnaji would advise her, do this every day for 10 minutes. You will get more attentive. Alas, she was in for disappointment. Krishnaji's answer was, the way to attention is attention itself. Through attention, you come upon attention. Therefore, we use the word stepping stone. Suppose from your state of inattention, you were to first put your foot on a stepping stone then climb as though over to a state of attention. That stepping stone might be something to be done, something to be chanted, something to be recited, something to be consumed, something to be eaten, or some discipline like eat less, talk less, sleep less, do less of this or that, drink a lot of water. So imagine there are many things which can be prescribed as the stepping stones. Somebody complained, my mind wanders a little, I am not able to pay attention to anything. And somebody else advised him, please sleep enough. 8 hours at night will make you more fresh. Then you will be, because of that freshness, more attentive. Well, all these things are deceptive. Who knows? When someone sleeps 7 or 8 hours and is truly refreshed, more than being attentive the next day, our friend could be more ambitious, fresh and energetic. Aha, now I will go and achieve what I have always wanted to achieve. More money, more name, more fame. So a good night's rest might be a double-edged sword, double-edged knife. Good rest at night could make you fresh, but there is no guarantee that you will be attentive. That freshness might enable you to chase some worldly, egoistic goals with more energy than ever before. Therefore, a teacher of tremendous precision that he was, Krishnaji said, attention is the way to attention. Friends, the topic that we are considering this evening is, for that matter, very closely related to the seminal statement Sri J. Krishnamurti made in that address of 1929 in Omen. Truth is a pathless land. If truth is a pathless land, there is no path, how can there be steps? When they asked Ramana Maharshi, what is the way to freedom? He did not say, repeat some mantra, read some Upanishads, go on a pilgrimage, da da da. No. He said, the only way to freedom is to stay in your true nature. The word used was nishtha. Stay of English and nishtha, star, stay and star. Stay of English and nishtha of Sanskrit mean the same. Mochayet sakalan bandhan atma nishtaiva kevalam was the reply by Maharshi, as it was put in a Sanskrit verse form by one of his scholarly disciples, Ganapati Muni. So it's not about doing, it's not about climbing, it's not about going by a certain path. There's no going. There is only staying. Stay in your true nature. Do not be housed in a cage, an artificial structure made of memories, thoughts, which is called ego, which is the little self, separate self. Interestingly, the popular literature prescribes many so-called steps The popular religious literature says to us, eat moderately, sleep moderately, or speak moderately, conserve your energy, and these can help you arrive nearer to the state of unbiased observation. But on the plane on which Krishnamurti spoke, there is no such steps or stepping stones. As my friend Harshadji, who will speak after me, always quotes, freedom at the beginning. Begin with freedom. Freedom is not visualized as located at the end of the journey. Begin with freedom. You and I have been conditioned to think we are such messed up people. We can't begin with freedom. For to begin with freedom must be a tall order. It's possible for very evolved people. I am a beginner. How can I begin with freedom? Therefore, we so easily embrace concepts. We so easily adopt and accept certain frameworks, certain settings where there is visualization. There is support of a symbol. We take a symbol, we repeat a sound, or we fast. We do 100 things, believing that by doing these, or by doing even one of these, we go from being unfit to being fit. So the human mind visualizes doing certain things where one moves closer to a certain most desired destination. But in Krishnaji's teachings, it is said the first step is the last step. That again is a hammer blow on any conceptualization of steps. I once asked Kabir Jaitirtha, who was one of the wonderful persons with whom I had very wonderful, good dialogues in Rajghat. He was with us in Rajghat for 3 years. Pretty much every day, lunch and dinner we had together. I asked him, Kabirji, attention is so precious. To live in attention is so much required. Is it not necessary that we make some rules for ourselves? Maybe to get up early, maybe to do yoga daily, maybe to go for a morning walk without fail, maybe to eat moderately. I mentioned 4 or 5 examples. Isn't it good to do those things whereby we really succeed in being attentive? And Kabir, I trust many of you have met him, had met him. It's a very great loss for us that he is not among us now. He smiled and said, Chidanandji, all those things you mentioned are not to be taken as a means to an end. Do this and get there. No. Chidanandji, when you live attentively, all this will be part of the movement. I was so touched, impressed, and fascinated by that answer. So true. If in the morning you are attentive, you will do yoga, you will go for a walk, not with the idea of This is the sixth day where without failing, without missing, I am walking. And at this rate, if I am so regular, I will very soon become a yogi. Blah, blah, blah. The mind visualizes becoming somebody. Friends, this idea of becoming somebody, a yogi, wow, what a wonderful dream. Be a yogi and go around with hands raised to bless people. Is that your fancy? That very fancy will make you fall. The higher teachings warn us. Don't fancy becoming an enlightened person, becoming a guru of some sort. Be a learner. Learn every moment. Don't think you are here to teach people. The very desire to instruct people, teach people, make comments on their character, make comments on whether they are evolved or way behind, to pass judgments on people, to put labels on people. You better be attentive to that tendency in you. Therefore, the mantra here is not becoming, but being, which is one more meaning of nishtha. This nishtha has the capacity to free us from all bondage. That was said in Sanskrit. Mochayet sakalan bandhan atma nishtha eva kevalam. I had quoted before. Now, Krishnaji was especially cautious of another dimension of this matter of stepping stones. Do this puja, chant that mantra, go around that hill, drink this every morning for 5 times, chanting something. In this way, suppose steps and then some symbols. Keep the stone in front of you. Put that graphic on the wall. Concentrate on the flame of this candle over here. Receive it from my hands. It will have more power. All this goes on, right, in the world. Krishnaji ruthlessly said during those many decades of his reflecting on life, commenting on life, that these stepping stones are very handy for exploiters. Those who wish to make religion into a business. Here are the symbols, big and small, colorful or simple black and white, heavy or light, priced heavily or priced very low. Very soon, we can open a shop of these stepping stones. And as all of you know, J. Krishnamurti warned humanity about this whole matter of somebody leading us, saying, I will show you the path, and another person following some X or Y, hoping if I go behind him or her, I will become free. Both this leading and following are fraught with high risk. Therefore, friends, stepping stones have no place in the pure teachings of Sri J. Krishnamurti. In fact, in very many mystical traditions of the world, including Advaita Vedanta, when you go to the core of the teachings, when you go to the crux of the matter, there are no stepping stones, there are no steps, no footprints, no marks of how the journey took place. Adi Shankara, the champion of Advaita Vedanta, quotes from someplace saying, when birds fly in the sky, they don't leave behind any marks. When fish swim in water, no marks are left behind. Likewise, the way of the wise, the way of those illumined ones has no particular track, path, steps, no particular midpoints on way to the so-called freedom, because there is no way. Truth is a pathless land. What a beautiful analogy. The movement of fish in water. After a few seconds, go and look for any footprints or fin prints. Maybe fish have fins, right? Likewise, the movement of birds in the sky. Instead of footprints, I must say wing prints. Birds have wings. Neither footprints, nor wing prints, nor fin prints. There are no marks. Likewise, there is this extraordinary affair of attention. In attention, discoveries take place. You are eating too much. In attention, you discover what a unhealthy way you are living. You are talking too much, or you are imposing on yourself too less sleep, while body actually required more sleep. You are forcing yourself to get up and jump out of the bed, and later on dragging yourself around. What a mess it was. But in attention, not making getting up early as a well-defined step, not making it a step, but in attention, you will see clearly the distinction between laziness and the body actually requiring rest. When the body really needs rest, take rest. When the body has had its rest, though you might have slept only 4 hours that night, you notice, how fresh I am, and you move out of the bed. Therefore, as Kabir shared his insight with me, a number of so-called healthy ways of living, rather than being defined as stepping stones, would happen automatically, spontaneously, in a natural way, in a attentive living. I have just shared some thoughts. I do not claim to be an authority on this. Perhaps even as we answer some questions, many more questions arise in a field like this. Therefore, let me pause at this juncture and request my good friend Harshadji to throw some light on this business of stepping stones. Do they have a place in the whole matter of moving from disorder to order, from bondage to freedom, from dreamy living to alert, attentive living? Namaste.
Thank you. Harshad sir, please unmute and say.
Yes. Are you able to hear?
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Swamiji. You have gone very quickly into this pathless land, the attention, which there are no steps, no method, just to be attentive. I think that happens for people who are mature and who have gone deep into studying maybe Vedanta or many people or Buddhism, and many people who have gone into Vedanta and Buddhism, then they come to Krishnamurti and then they find it very interesting because Krishnamurti takes away everything, no method, no system, no effort. And Krishnaji is speaking from his level. But it may not be suitable for many people. They may get confused when Krishnaji says there is nothing is required. You just look at yourself as you are. And maybe in my case, when I was young, I had studied, read some traditional literature, and I knew some of that. But of course, it did not help me much when I went to a different culture, and I had many problems, and the mind was thinking too much and even not aware, in spite of reading Bhagavad Gita and many other spiritual books, Vivekanand, Ramakrishna, and other books. And but maybe my background was already prepared. And so when I came to Krishnamurti for the first book in which he was asking many questions, and those questions were very, very as if they were my questions, but I had not asked such questions. And I was into too much thinking and going round and round in thinking only, and not really able to look from where the thinking arises. So it was in Krishnamurti book, first time in 1972 or 73, Krishnaji pointed out that if we want to understand ourselves as we are, then we have to look at the beginning of a thought. Now, if a person wants to look at the beginning of a thought, then he needs a tremendous curiosity, he needs a lot of energy, and he needs the freedom at the beginning to look at the thought itself, how it comes, and how it creates problems in relationship. So when Krishnamurti said that thought creates the thinker, that means the sense of I or me, it comes from thinking. And once this I, the self, the ego, the me, whatever word we use, once it comes from thinking, then the choice comes. I like it, I don't like it, we want to change something, and we are not able to look at the thought without this thinker. So what Krishnamurti says, it makes a great sense only for people, I feel, those who have tremendous passion and curiosity and energy to look at the thinking itself right at the source. And when I tried to do that, I felt that yes, everything really stops your mind when a question is very, very genuine. then you don't think much. But that question creates some attention. And in that attention, something is coming, and one can watch whatever is coming. Is our thinking is flowing like a river. And out of this river of thinking, if we are not aware, then this a branch comes out from this river of thinking, and that branch is called I or me. And then it disturbs the flow of river. But in observing this flow of thinking without the observer, without this sense of me, thought moves very in an orderly way without creating any problem. And so this attention which Krishnaji is talking about, that is really the freedom to observe, whether we observe a tree or a human being or our own thinking. And once a person is able to do that, means able to see clearly how the thinking moves without creating the thinker, then that kind of thinking, it reveals everything what is happening within us, and we begin to learn about ourselves in a direct way, not reading the book of Krishnamurti and then thinking about it and then discussing with other people. And so many people, after reading Krishnamurti, they like to discuss, they like to attend many meetings, and they keep on thinking. But I think Krishnaji is taking away everything, all that kind of effort to look, the effortless way of looking at ourselves as we are. So this is not like concentration, like in the tradition, they tell you that you concentrate on an image and then your mind will be steady. But if your mind moves away from that image, from image of God or a light or a flower, then again you try to bring back your mind to that image. And in that, there is a conflict between what is and what should be. So a person is making a lot of effort to be attentive or to focus. But in Krishnamurti, it is not like that. Concentration is fixing your mind on one thing, whereas attention is very, very wide. It means it is looking at what is, whatever is happening, and one can do it any place, any time, whether we are traveling in the train or we are sitting alone in our room or walking in nature. This quality of attention is the real freedom. And in that freedom, learning about ourselves, it becomes very effortless and very direct. And then we can read Krishnamurti and then we can say, yes, what Krishnamurti says is very, very obvious if we have done it. But if we have not, if we are not able to do what Krishnamurti is saying, means to be attentive very, very quickly. If we are not able to do that,
Yeah.
then Krishnamurti can become very, very confusing. And so these teachings of Krishnamurti, I feel it is for people who have already, or either they have a lot of simplicity in their mind. That means very quickly they can see something. It is very difficult, Krishnamurti's teachings, for highly articulate people when they need lot of words and concepts to understand. But understanding is non-verbal and it is very quick. And people who can do that, then they will be free even from Krishnamurti teachings or Buddhist teachings. And they may read, but they will say, yes, what Krishnamurti says is very obvious. So that is the way I looked directly in myself after reading the first book of Krishnamurti about 50 years ago. And and it is very easy, I feel. But many, many people, even the traditional people, after meditating for 25 years in Himalayas, they are not able to look with, at their own thinking without the thinker, without the observer. And so some of them had come to Krishnaji to discuss about why they are not able to look clearly. And so probably what people are doing is concentrating and trying to achieve some result. But as long as there is a motive in looking, then that motive becomes a block. And as Swamiji said, going from A to B and taking many steps, it doesn't work, I feel. But I cannot say that for all people, because some people, even after staying with a guru or in an ashram and uh, listening, reading, meditating, something happens to them after many years. And to somebody, it may happen very quickly. Like sometimes I give the example of Kondana. When Kondana listened to Buddha for the first time after Buddha's enlightenment in Sarnath, out of 5 friends to whom Buddha was speaking, Buddha looked at Kondana's face and said, Kondana, you have got it. So Kondana was able to listen to Buddha without thinking, without interpreting what Buddha was saying. So listening is an art. And that is the way Krishnaji wanted people to listen to him while he was speaking. Something can happen to listener if they are fully listening. So how we do anything, listening, looking, or even moving a furniture from one place to another place, because if we don't do rightly, we can move a furniture sliding it on the floor and making screeching sound. And that is the way many people do. But people who are very, very attentive, they will lift the furniture very gently and take it from one place to another place, and being attentive while doing it. And so Krishnaji says this attention in the daily life, like when we are brushing our teeth, are we really attentive while we brushing our teeth? Or while walking in nature, are we looking at the tree or thinking something else? So the question, I myself did not ask many questions, but what questions Krishnamurti asked, on those questions, I gave my full attention, and it really helped me. So a friend keeps on asking many questions in our dialogue, and he says, can I really look at it? Can I do it? To me, it is like a river is flowing and you are standing on a bank and you are saying, can I jump? Can I jump? You are asking this question because you don't want to jump. If you really want to jump, you jump. But the fear of being carried away, it prevents you from jumping in the river. Similarly, this state of attention in which we can see everything clearly, that attention can be also very frightening, or it may be not possible for a person. So I fully agree with Krishnaji that there are no steps. You just do it, and you will do it if it is very, very vital, it is very, very important in your life, and more important than earning money or becoming somebody, that you really want to understand everything which is happening in you, that when you become angry, you want to go at the root. What is behind this anger? Or if there is a jealousy, what is behind it? So when a person is very curious, very, very attentive, very energetic, then what Krishnamurti says is true. And it is for such people that Krishnamurti's teachings are useful. Otherwise, Buddha's teachings, which goes in a very gentle way, that also is helping many people. I do not discard that gradual path, uh, that for most people, the gradual path is very safe path and very useful. But some few people like Raman Maharshi, something happened to him and he gave full attention to that death, experience of death, and that made him free. So Krishnamurti's teachings are for such people who can really come to it very quickly. Okay, I have said too much. Thank you very much.
Dinesh Waghmare, please unmute and say.
Are you able to listen to me, sir?
Yes.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, yes.
Sir, today's our topic is order in daily life. And are there any stepping stones? Now, when we talk of daily life, Krishnamurti talks from, as Swamiji said, from a different plane altogether. If you have to remain with that plane, no issue. But when we talk of the order in daily life, we are having different planes. If we see the fact, let us not discuss about orthodox religion or non-orthodox religion or new way of looking at the things. If we see the fact, it's a basically, even science agrees to this, it's a spirito mind body continuum. And body has got its own, when we talk of body, body works with rules and regulations. When we go to mind, we see these rules and regulations are somewhat diluted. Suppose we throw a stone, science can very well predict where the stone will go. So it follows a rule. But when a bird flies, where it will sit, nobody knows, because there is a degree of freedom as soon as mind comes into picture. Similarly, when we go to the higher planes or we talk of the dimension which Krishnamurti is talking, we do not know. He himself said that there we do not know what will happen there or what is the state. If one has to remain there, then no issue, as I said earlier. But when we move in the life or move in the world, then your mind has got so many distractions. Because of those distractions, these conditionings are formed. So to compensate that, even Krishnamurti used to do daily yoga and all that. And as Harshad sir said that while even you have to brush your teeth. So for their rules and regulations are required. Similarly, for the body also rules and regulations are required so that you can compensate the distractions which are already taking place otherwise. With this distraction, can one have the freedom which is at the first available to you at the first place? That is $1 million question. Because Harshad sir said that attention is this inclusive of everything. It is not exclusion. And attention is your concentration is exclusion basically. So if we say so, then when we go for in the world, then because of this inclusion of everything, there are so many distractions, so many attachments are formed, and so many things. So to compensate that, if we go into tradition deeply, we see even eightfold Buddha's mark, if we Buddha's path we see, or we see the Yoga Sutra, whatever they clearly say that the initial all the steps which they have told are just to discipline your body or just to discipline your mind to a certain extent, so that you are able to understand the working of the higher planes. So it is very clear that what they talk of the stepping stones. But since nobody goes deeply and people talk of only at the superficial level, so they say that these are not useful and directly you can jump to that plane. If you can jump to that plane, as Harshad sir said, it's very good. If one is that intelligent, that alert, that attentive, he is having freedom at the first plane itself, then yes, Harshad sir, what Harshad sir is saying is okay. But otherwise, if you are, even Krishnamurti said in Exploration into Insight that if you are living an immoral life and you talk of Kundalini and all the other energies and all this thing, then sorry, there are many things, there are many siddhis and there are so many things, but when we cannot discuss at this level. Even when he has been asked for the Kundalini, he clearly said, these are only the body movements. There are body movements with the Kundalini and you call it spirituality. This is only a very superficial thing, sir. He himself has said. So when one is distracted and his mind is already conditioned and he is trapped in already in a trap, worldly traps. So first he has to understand what are the traps, and to understand those traps and just to remove those hurdles or impediments. We say that this knowledge is impediment, but more than that, there are so many our attachments and so many our identifications and all that, which are the hurdles and which are impediment. So one has to understand first that, and then only I think he can move ahead. Thank you. What Harshad sir has to say on this?
Okay. May I answer?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How do you understand really? Because to understand, you have to look clearly, not verbally.
Sir,
Because yes, understanding
in my views, experiencing, direct experiencing, and any change of state of being is only the understanding. Otherwise, all other understandings are superficial.
Right. Yes. So finally, it comes back the ability to look at oneself clearly, right? Like when it means when anger is arising, one has to be attentive to that anger. But
Yes.
after the anger has come and then you analyze, then it becomes theoretical, right?
But understanding here means one has to understand the energy of anger. As Krishnamurti also said, you have to understand the energy of sorrow, you have to understand the energy, that beautiful energy of anger, he said clearly. So one has to understand the energy phenomena. Then only he can move ahead, isn't it, sir?
But understanding means seeing clearly. That's what I give the
Yeah, you may
non-verbal.
use that word, but to me it is
Yeah.
actually
Uh,
becoming aware of that energy and having the experiencing of that.
Okay, I think Anandji wants to speak. Anandji, you can
Anand,
ask.
Anand.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. So I think there are quite
Yeah.
a few
Mm.
things. So when I
Yeah.
say case teachings, I really question that. K himself said the teaching. So the moment I say case teaching, I'm narrowing it down. I'm away from what it is about, the teaching, the truth about it. And again, sir, when I say, the people who are well-read, they are the ones who understand. That is it's a big question mark, sir. He may be a PhD, he may have a double PhD, doesn't mean that, he understands K. And I think the more highly educated I am, the more conditioned I become. Can I look at that? I'm saying education within quotes. Most of the so-called educated people are literate. Education is something else. A person may not know to read and write, but he is an educated person. He understands life. So that is, education is to be looked at holistically, not just only the qualification to pass your exams and get your degrees and do your PhD and double PhD. If that is the case, every person who has PhD or double PhD I have understood Krishnamurti. I question that again, sir. And then we are talking about the passion, attention, freedom, and things like that daily living. How do I understand when I talk about attention? First and foremost, can I see right now that there is inattentiveness in me? When I'm listening to others, I'm listening to my background. I'm not really listening to him. I'm already come to the conclusion. So that inattentiveness, when I become aware of that, that is what I would say is attention, sir. So again, when I'm talking about attention, how do I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry. I was getting a call, so I'm sorry about it. So again, we need to look at what we mean by inattention, sir. Attention, sir. So, sir, please go ahead. I'll get back to you all, sir. I'll get back to you all.
Sir, here there is a question from my side to Harshad, sir.
Yes.
What is this attention? Is it a conscious mind affair, or it's a subconscious mind affair, or it's a total state of being you have to attain?
What is the state of attention? That is your
Yes.
question, right? Yes.
From what
It
level
means
is this
just-
attention should be?
It means just looking without thinking. Like you look at a tree or a face of a human being, and if your looking is without this observer, you see it very fresh. Even if you see the same tree, like in front of me, there is a very beautiful tree. I see it every day, and every day it looks so beautiful, so fresh. And you can see every leaf dancing on that tree. Because your mind is silent, you can see it very, very clearly. And you can watch the expression on the faces of people. It becomes wonderful to look how a person, he is serious at one moment, and then he becomes relaxed, and then he starts laughing. And to see all that, without this observer, without this me, it's a wonderful state. And I feel that maybe Krishnamurti was living in such a state of attention, and so he was full of energy while talking with even with children, you know. So my answer is the state of attention is to see whether objects outside or people or one's own thought without the observer, without the
So the
sense of me.
so,
Yeah.
so
Yes.
senses of cognizance are already in picture at that time also.
Say again.
Senses of
What did you-
cognizance means you are also getting the data, but not using thought.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Swamiji
Can
is
I-
there. Swami.
Can I continue where I left off? I'm sorry.
I am here, I am here.
Okay. Swamiji, would you like to make comment?
I
Yeah.
would like to make a comment if you restate the question. What exactly is the question?
When we are looking at the tree and you are simply looking, you are not using any thought, or
Yeah.
your observer is not there, then
Yeah.
but at the same time, senses of cognizance
Ah,
also in operation or not?
senses are in operation. Thought is not
Yes.
working. Thought,
Yes.
which is a response of memory, and therefore what carries conditionings, is not. The self is absent. Self means
When
the
we say-
observer, the way you describe yourself. That there is a no description of how good or bad you are, how lucky or unlucky you are, how successful or a failure you are. That is all the self. That is absent. Otherwise, senses are active and the functional mind is active.
So when we say that this was a fresh experience, so this is afterthought.
What experience? This was a good experience. Fresh
When we say it's a fresh and new experience,
Ah,
so this is a afterthought, it means.
yeah, there can be a
At the
recognition.
moment,
Like after 5 minutes after seeing the beautiful leaves of the tree, if you were to ask this person what color the leaves had, he might say these had dried up and they were brown. So registration of objective things are that is there. But some kind of I was fortunate to see it. Ah, how nice! I did not. I got up early and came and saw this tree. So that kind of accumulation over an eye. Others were lazy. I went and saw. So that is an accretion. That's an accumulation to the self. Whereas objective things, whether the color of the leaves was yellow or brown. That's why I brought the word functional mind. Not only the eyes see the brown, but even the mind, functional mind. In Krishnaji's commentaries on living, etc., he starts narrating what kind of morning it was, how the river was flowing, how some villagers were walking by. That is all functional. There is nothing personal where he doesn't say, some communal comments. No such thing. He appreciates or understands humanity itself. So the functional mind and the perceptive senses are active, I would imagine.
thank you, sir.
Shakti sir, please. Shakti sir, please unmute and say.
Yeah. You see about this steps, because though Krishnamurti says the first step is the last step, but at the same time, it's not making some sort of decisive statement that steps have to be negated in totality, because he himself sometimes during talk he says, I will tell you step by step by step. And you see, in a book Urgency of Change, there are so many places like this that he tries to explain the things and making some sort of steps. For example, in Urgency of Change, when he's talking about unawareness, awareness and unawareness, so he says, so you see that the rose and all the universe and the people, and then he says, now the next step, what you think about these things or what you feel about them is your psychological response to them. So the superficial awareness is a very simple matter, and on he goes. You see, it is important to understand that Krishnamurti is showing some problem with certain expressions, certain words and their meanings. For example, he says about truth is a pathless land. And then he also says a different way of living. So we have to stay a little bit and not create a conclusion very quickly. And for example, at one place he says, if we give complete attention when we are eating, that is action. Now, this is a very small thing. We don't need to be very, you see, much time to it and all that. And he is also not laying down a rule. And the last thing I would like to say is that what Dineshji was telling, it is true that this concentration is exclusion and attention is inclusive. But at the same time, he says at certain places that if you can attend, if you know how to attend, then when it is needed, you can concentrate. So this, and this is what I am talking is on very theoretical level, but just one thing that we have to deconstruct the words that Krishnamurti uses, and it is not possible to make any formulation out of them. Thank you, sir.
Rama Rao ji. Rama Rao ji.
Yes, sir. Sir, my question is for Mr. Dinesh ji. In your dialogue, you mentioned that data is there, we are not, we don't use. I couldn't get the sense, but it
What,
touched
sir?
me in depth.
Please repeat your question.
Yeah, data is there, you are not
Repeat
using
your
it.
question.
Huh? Hello,
Data is there, we are not using.
you are not using it.
I could not get your question, sir.
The question is that in
You are
your
not using
dialogue,
it.
in your dialogue with Mr. Parekh, last sentence you used it, but the sentence itself, I felt it's a very depth it is there. So, but I could not able to grasp that sense.
No, what we were, Harshad sir is saying that when you see a tree, you are directly with the whatever the census data is coming to you, and as Swamiji said, you are registering it, the freshness or.
Your voice is breaking, Dinesh. Your voice is breaking, Dinesh.
It has stopped. Yeah.
Yes, no.
Your voice has broken. Please repeat what you have said, sir. Dinesh ji.
What we were discussing, Harshad sir and Swamiji, that when you see a tree, at that moment the data of census is coming to you, you are registering it, but you are not using any thought or any memory or past data, or you are with the census data only, and not you are using any thought at that moment. So if one is aware, then that is possible at that particular moment. That's what we were discussing.
Can I
Am I right,
understand
sir?
this? I got it, your sentence, but can I understand something like that? The data which is pouring, but it is not recording. It is not means like connecting with the conditioning mind. So it is not recording.
Sir, you don't make any rule of that. You are recording because afterwards you are saying that it was a very good day and it was a fresh experience and all that. So recording is there, but you are aware of that recording. You are alert, attentive to the data coming to you in the present moment. And you are not comparing or you are not using any afterthought on it. That's what I understand. Harshad sir will clarify more on this, I think.
Yeah, please.
No, I think it seems to me that only people who are able to look at a tree or any object without this sense of I or me coming and saying that I like it, I don't like it, just looking without thinking, that is a state of attention. That is what I call. And it is non-verbal. We are using so many words to describe what is attention, but the actual state of attention is one has to feel it non-verbally.
You see, sir, when we see any object,
Yeah.
that object, the automatic, the object make interaction with our conditioning. This is this, this is this, this is this.
Yeah.
It goes
Then
on that
thinking is
commentary.
operating. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
right.
commentaries goes on.
Yes, yes, right. Then there is no attention.
Got it, sir.
So,
Yeah.
so when I observe that,
Hmm.
when I observe that, in that observation, is there not attention, sir? That I'm interpreting all this. See, a mind which is aware, that is inattentive, out of that inattentiveness, there is attention. Is it so? So when we say, when we look at anything, when I look at a tree or whatever you look at, sir, is there not a motive in whatever you are doing? When we talk about our daily life also, can we see in our daily life, is there a cause? Which Krishnamurti is talking about a daily living without a cause, which is the supreme thing. But we have a cause, we have a motive all the time. Can I observe that is the question? I may talk about passion, sir. I talk about attention, I talk about freedom. So again, when I talk about passion, now how do I understand when he says passion is a flame of sorrow? And all the time, I escape from it. I move away from it. I don't want to look at it. It is there right in front of my eyes every day, the sorrow and suffering, but I don't see it. It's only when we think of a third world war, the fighting is going on. Yes, sir, please go ahead.
Yes, Dinesh, what?
If we see a thing that is our mind cannot understand without using the word step. But actually this happens simultaneously. What he says, when you say first, without naming and terming, and then thought comes and you are aware of that also. Then he says that is understanding and then wisdom. So what is wisdom? Wisdom means at the same time you can see all these phenomena in a particular moment simultaneously and still remain free. What Harshad sir has to say on this?
No, it's right. This word awareness, which we are using, is, to me, there is no difference between awareness or attention or perception or seeing clearly, So that is a non-verbal state. You can describe it in many words, what is attention. But the actual state of attention is just looking without interpreting, analyzing, thinking, and then everything is very fresh. I think children have that kind of attention when they were very young. I know a 2-year-old girl, she was looking at the full moon and she was very happy looking at the moon. And she was telling other people to look. She did not know even what that thing was called, that it was called moon. But she was very happy. And so children, they have this ability to look at a butterfly or a flower and they are fascinated. They don't think. But the scientists, when they look at a flower, they like to know about it, analyze it, or write, or even a poet would like to write poem about it. So they like to do something. But this looking, the state of attention, is without any motive, just looking at a flower or a tree. And in that, there is real beauty, real freshness. But if somebody asks what flower you were looking at, then you can answer it. But while looking, you are just looking. And the image will fall in your retina. And the whole thing gets recorded like a photograph, but it doesn't create more thinking. And if a person is really attentive, aware, he can even describe it very, very clearly what he saw, like the way Krishnaji is describing in words everything which he saw non-verbally. So one can use thinking properly in the state of awareness or attention, but just the thinking without that state of attention, it may be, it's just like an artificial flower. A person can write a beautiful poem, but it will not have the fragrance, real fragrance of real seeing, And that is why I feel Krishnaji's, whatever he has written, spoken, it has affected many people. But very few people can really get it very quickly. And then they don't need to read Krishnamurti. They can see it directly in their own mind. They have no questions. If question arises, that question can be seen also. And if an answer comes, that answer can be seen also. So this is a very difficult and very rare, I think.
So can we say like this that
Waghmare,
Please allow Pradeep
stop.
Verma ji to talk.
Last question. Please. Let Pradeep Verma ask a question. That will be a last one. Pradeep Verma, sir. Please unmute. Your question will be last one, as usual.
Thank you. Thank you very much. What we are doing, actually, my question was very simple, maybe very naive, that what is the role of self in discovering truth, order, and beauty? Self, whether they are relative truths, relative beauty, relative order. We are trying to understand non-verbal through verbal. This is what we are doing. And if I am not wrong, all of us are using our selves, right? Then I may be wrong here. Although these questions are genuine to me because I don't know anything about these. I enjoy Though I enjoy order and beauty very often around and in me, Chidanandji talked about functional mind, whether functional mind can see beauty and order, functional mind. I'm using my functional mind even now. That is another question. I'm like one of the two birds enjoying fruits of sansar, and sometimes the other bird witnessing and contemplating. Are these two birds or only the one that becomes the other? Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Would you
Can I
like to
live?
comment?
So can I
Shakti
live
Kumar
a
has written. Shakti Kumar has written something. Would you please yourself read? Would you please read yourself, sir, Shakti ji?
Just unmute, sir.
Shakti ji, please unmute and read whatever you have written.
Yeah, I have written that I am sharing an experiment suggested by Krishnamurti. This I remember because of the steps, you know. So Krishnamurti says it is from 1984. Krishnamurti says, you say that it is not possible in modern society to live without self-centeredness, at least a little bit of it. Have you ever tried? Have you ever lived without self-centeredness for one day, not to think about oneself, just even for an hour, and see what happens? You haven't committed to anything. You can go back to your selfishness, self-centeredness. Nobody is going to say how wrong it is or right it is. That is the normal state of human beings, apparently. So if one really tries for an hour, actually do it, not try it, do it and see what happens. And if you do it for 1 hour, you can extend it. Thank you, sir.
Harshad Parikh, sir, would you please end it by
May I
your
say something?
comments? Would you please end it by your
Yes.
comments?
May I
Yes.
say
What Shakti ji said is good, very good. And one needs to experiment with oneself. Maybe initially one needs a quiet place, like a study center or so. But even in one's own room, can one look how these thoughts are arising and not just moving with it, not saying it is good or bad. And even self-centeredness comes, one can observe it and we don't say it is bad to be self-centered or so. So everything, how we do it, and that is the real problem, that whether we can observe the thoughts uh, with that state of attention. And that is why Krishnaji says freedom is at the beginning. And if we don't have this attention, then whatever we observe will multiply, will create lots of conflicts. So the first step is to sit quietly and gather all energy, curiosity, and look at oneself, and not even say, can I do it or can I not do it? Just one needs to do it and not ask such questions, whether can I do it or cannot do it. So, okay, I have finished.
Kamlesh, would you please end it as it is already 7:30?
Thanks.
Thank
Thanks for all
thanks,
for
thanks to
participation, sir.
everybody.
Thanks, Chidanandji,
Thank you,
Harshad
sir.
Parikh.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.